my experience with plant medicines is they give you a perspective of life that you could never get in any other modality in the physical 3D world that we know. You will never be the same, no matter what happens, good or bad.
In today's busy world, how can we find the inspiration, knowledge, and energy to live a healthy and empowered life? If we balance and harmonize our mind, exercise our body, live according to the laws of nature, and connect to spirit, can we find a way to heal, become our authentic self, and live our purpose with love? I am your hostess, Amy Fournier, and welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite.
I am thrilled to share with you one of my all-time favorite things that I've ever bought in my entire life, and I'm not saying this lightly, okay, not only my professional career of over 30 years in holistic health and fitness, but also my personal life that has changed my life, sauna space. Why is sauna space different? Because it's not just what you think of as a sauna, like that old Finnish sauna where you sit in like that wooden box and sweat to death pouring water on rocks. This is a multitask. I actually like to call it the ultimate health and detox multitask because sauna space is different. Yes, you get the sweat therapy, which is essential for detoxification, that passive sweating, but it also has the light therapy, which is a big fancy word meaning photobiomodulation, which triggers the mitochondria. Your biology turns on the switches. And sauna space has a grounding mat, so you're grounding in the earth. We don't get outside enough, getting our feet on the ground, which drains those positive ions in your body from too much technology with the negative ions of the ground. And it has an EMF shield, electromagnetic frequency shield option that you can get. And if you're in front of technology, computers, phones, TVs, smart houses, it's all technology. So sauna space is the quadruple whammy. And here's the last thing I'll tell you. You don't have to buy the whole sauna, okay, because it's pricey, but again, it's worth every penny. You'll have it your whole life. You can just buy the photon light, which is basically one of the big red bulbs, which is gorgeous and beautiful. And I use them as night lights. I use them just all the time. So you can use my coupon code at checkout, FitAmyTV5. All this is on my website under my recommended products e-store. I'm just like, can you tell I'm jumping out of my seat here to tell you about this because this is truly one of my all-time favorite important game changers. Now let's get back to the show. Hey everybody, I'm here with Wade Lightheart from Bioptimizers, my favorite supplement company. Wade, what would you say to somebody that says, you know what, I eat really healthy. I have a really healthy diet. I don't need supplements. Is that possible?
It's virtually impossible in today's world. And if you understand diets, and I've been studying this my entire life, and every diet has a trade-off. There are advantages of every diet and there are disadvantages of it. And in the world that we live in today, the nutrient quality has diminished at such an extensive rate. It's almost or virtually impossible to get all the elements that you require out of your diet. So what you want to do is you want to take your diet, you want to overlay that with your genetics, and then you want to look at, hey, what are the things that I need more of? What are the things I need less of? And what are the things that I'm absolutely not getting? And by doing that, you're using intelligence, you're using science, and you're supplementing in a way that allows you to enjoy the dietary choices that you like or that you prefer without compromising any aspect of your health. And that's the intelligent way to supplementation.
Brilliant. I love it. And your company, Bioptimizers, is my favorite. I take them every day, selectively, of course, and I'm so confident that they're going to work for you. Your company has graciously given us a coupon code. People can try them at a discount by entering AmyF10 at checkout. They can save 10%, and you have a money-back guarantee. If they don't like them for any reason, they can return them, no questions asked. But we know you're going to love them, so enjoy, everybody. Welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite. This show is about helping you to be healthy and fit in mind, body, and spirit, as well as harmonize your masculine and feminine energy, tap into your intuition, your true source of power, and awaken your authentic self. Today, my guest is Daniel Hanna. He has a very, very interesting life. When we recorded the episode, he was down in Ecuador at a clinic that services people coming to have experiences sitting with plant medicine. So Daniel now functions at this clinic, and he serves as a life coach. And he's lived all over the world, in Vietnam, Mexico, Guatemala, the US, the Brazil, and like I said, now he's in Ecuador. The clinic he works at is a shamanic healing center in the Andes, where they work with plant medicine like ayahuasca and San Pedro. We have a very interesting discussion. I share, of course, my experiences with plant medicines, and Daniel gives us a great perspective on what's the deal with plant medicine? What do we need to look out for? What's important to know? How do we make sure we're in a safe place that can enable us to get out of it what we're looking for? We talk about how to deal with bad experiences and the purging that can go on and the dark experiences. I asked Daniel how he helps people manage their minds when they're dealing with bad experiences, and the main things that plant medicines have taught him, both good and bad. We talk about how he accesses entities and different experiences that he's had in awakening Kundalini and engaging with both dark and light entities. We also talk about the importance of surrendering, because we are in the very divine feminine space here of plant medicines. Because when you experience plant medicines, let me tell you something. You have got to be in your feminine. You've got to be in a space of surrender, allowing, letting go, trust, feeling safe. These are all feminine qualities. And, well, it might have been, frankly, why I've had such a hard time with plant medicine journeys. I mean, I've gotten through them and I learned a lot. But yes, you have absolutely got to let go and let it happen. And that's why it's critical that you are in a safe container. Set and setting is absolutely key. You have to be able to trust and let the medicine and let your guide you and take care of you, because you are completely not in the driver's seat. We talk about the importance of trusting your soul, about being able to surrender, hold stillness, and breathe. And I asked Daniel what he does when people start to freak out and how he brings them back to center and what his tips are. We get into how energy is contagious and how this applies to our everyday lives. Nothing to do with plant medicine. But when you're in a space, let's just say, where the energy's bad, or people are being reactive, or they're being negative or angry or whatever, how do you keep your center? How do you keep those healthy boundaries and keep from having it affect you? And we talk about the top things to help ensure, if you decide to go into plant medicines and experiment with them and see if they can help you, what things you need to look for and to make sure that you have lined up. And lastly, I asked Daniel, how can we make the experiences that we've learned and all these downloads and insights and releases and openings and healings that we can have from these beautiful gifts of nature, how can we make them part of our everyday life and integrate them into who we are in the day-to-day flesh and blood experience that we're in? So this is a very different show. I love this conversation. Per usual, it went in a different direction than I anticipated it would when we first got started. But I love when that happens because, like I always say, I turn on the mic, set record, and I try to get Amy out of the way and let Great Spirit take it where it may. I really hope it helps you in some way. If it did, I'd love to know. Hit me up on Instagram, FitAmyTV, or email me, or whatever. Leave something in the comments. Let me know what your takeaways were, what resonated with you, what you'd like to learn more about, and how you felt about it. Thank you so much for being here on the show. Subscribing really helps support me and helps me keep it going. If you want to find out my favorite products with some discount codes, you can check out my website, hop on my email list so you can get some of my newsletters where I share some personal stuff. And let's now join Daniel Hanna. Welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. Daniel Hanna, welcome to the show. Where are you located?
Thank you, Amy. Currently, I'm in Ecuador. So at the moment, I'm living in a medicine community in the Andes Mountains. So sort of tucked away about half an hour from Cuenca. But yeah, so it's definitely an interesting place. It's very peaceful here.
And where were you from originally, and what brought you there? Like, how did you end up there? Give us the synopsis of Daniel's life so far.
Yeah, so it's been a long story. I'm originally from Melbourne, Australia. Back in 2016, 2017, I spent 1 year traveling, well, backpack in South America. So I lived in Brazil for a little while and pretty much did the regular backpacking route from Colombia to Argentina. It was really just a way for me to explore myself, explore my reality, who I am. It wasn't too long after I got out of depression and things really started changing in my life. So I wanted to push the bounds and sort of take it to the next step to sort of see how I go just traveling the world by myself. So during that time, I started to connect with more shamanic traditions, especially with ayahuasca, San Pedro, and different plant medicines, and really started to see the abilities of these medicines. So I tried a lot of different therapies and modalities, but nothing seemed to work that well for me besides plant medicines and the whole shamanic traditions, which just skyrocketed my well-being in total. So I went back to Australia for about 1.5 years and decided I just wanted to keep traveling, exploring different cultures, different traditions, different modalities. In 2018, I left Australia, so I lived in Vietnam for about 3 years. Moved to Mexico, Guatemala for about 8 months, United States for about 1 year. Then this opportunity came through to work at this shamanic center. So yeah, decided to jump on the opportunity and really get more involved with these medicines and the traditions and just learn more about it, where I can actually sort of help other people go through their processes. As it is, ayahuasca is sort of like taking a sledgehammer. It's the sledgehammer approach to well-being. So it's sort of like a shortcut, but it's very intense. You go through a lot of processes and it can be difficult. So yeah, I decided I wanted to be a part of that and be a part of the integration process and just helping people within the ceremonies and outside of the ceremonies. And currently where I'm working, it's like a community. So you have people coming and going. You have ceremonies quite regularly, maybe 3 times a week. It's been a great experience. It's just a constant learning curve, but it feels like it just keeps speeding up. So to me, I feel like this path is what resonates with me. Everyone has different ways to go about their own life stories and their own well-being. But for me, I find that shamanic medicines are very, very powerful medicines, and I just want to get more involved in that. So yeah, here I am.
What a story. So is it fair to say, Daniel, that it was mostly like your own depression and searching that brought you to go to plant medicines? Was it that? And then what was your experience with that? Like, did you come out of it after the first trip, the second, or, the first experience, the first journey? Well, what happened there with your own evolution in your experience?
Yeah, great question. So I really started experimenting with plant medicines as a way to really explore my own consciousness, because I was stuck in these programs and these systems and my mental cage that I didn't know how to get out of. And I was severely depressed at the time. So during my adolescence and early adulthood. And yeah, I just wasn't too sure how to get out of that. So I looked at plant medicines and I'm like, okay, I've heard a lot about these things. So yeah, let me try it. So over many sessions, I started going deeper and deeper and deeper into my own consciousness. Yeah, just exploring it. My perception of reality started changing and of oneself. So it's interesting just how things sort of like flipped and changed, because it wasn't necessarily just like one experience that did it. As many different experiences I sort of accumulated and created this sort of change of perception and well-being and just the way I looked at life. And it also helped me cultivate more high vibrational emotions such as gratitude and joy and love and all these good things that I didn't really experience that much when I was trapped in this sort of state of depression, because I didn't know how to get out of that. But I did have some experiences that completely just blew my reality out of the water, including one that's an absolute like Kundalini activation, felt all my chakras light up, just all this energy going out of my crown. And I actually passed out. So, I fell unconscious and went through all these trials in sort of the cosmos, which was, I still remember very clearly to this day. And this was maybe 8 years ago. But I remember going through all these like trials and saw all these entities and spirits. So pretty much like, tell me, you've got a choice. If you want to go back to your body and continue this life, you can. But by the end of it, I went back, I woke up, sprawled out on the living room floor. and I was completely reborn. My depression was completely erased, anxiety was erased, and it was like I was reset in just every meaning of the word. And from that moment I woke up, all the systems and all these programs that I found myself buried in or suffocating in just blew open. And I just realized, wait, this is my life. I can do what I want within my own life experience. I don't have to be this person. I don't have to be in these ways. I don't have to be shy. I can have a good romantic life. I can have an adventurous life. I can travel the world. I can have a cool job. I can do anything I want. This is my life experience. I can manifest whatever life I want to have. Once I came back with that knowledge, I decided to act upon it. And that's when I started traveling. And since then, it's just been a long sort of road of just learning and expanding. It's been an incredible journey. Even now, I know I'm still in my infancy of my own spiritual development, but I've learned so much from finding myself and finding the God within, so to speak. That really led me down the route of shamanic healing, because I realized that, look, these aren't drugs. These are powerful medicines that are capable of completely changing our consciousness and connecting us with the source and connecting us with all these different dimensions and entities and spirits. And from that moment, I realized the true potential of these substances, which are medicines, and realized, why don't I start actually looking at the roots of this? Looking into these traditions that have been around for thousands of years. Like, these people know what they're doing, otherwise it would have died out by now, but it hasn't. And in fact, it's more relevant now than ever, because we're starting to go through this big spiritual awakening. We're coming more back to our roots, and we're coming more back to our own soul, and looking for the different ways that we can cultivate that connection more. And it's been interesting, to say the least.
Well, it sounds like a beautiful gift that you are given, that to have that optimism come back to you, and the feeling of true empowerment, like, wait a minute, I'm a co-creator. I can create my life. You did a total 180 from being severely depressed to feeling very empowered. So that's a beautiful success story, I'll say. And in my experience, I think the thing with plant medicines is, and this is, for the audience, because I'm going to assume that most people listening have not done them. Why don't we just, first of all, just pinpoint what we're talking about when we say plant medicines? You mentioned ayahuasca. So what are some other ones? Let's just say that you've done, and then just some other ones in general for the audience, so they know what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So another term for plant medicines, often, like, not all of them are, but most people would recognize them as psychedelics. Okay. So the most common one would be magic mushrooms. Pretty much any naturally occurring psychedelic substance that have been used culturally over many, many generations, thousands of years, especially with more of a ceremonial healing aspect to it. So you have magic mushrooms, you have peyote cactus, San Pedro, which are different cacti that are native to the Americas. So these are...
And psilocybin's in the mushrooms, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I have not done ayahuasca, and I kind of have wanted to, because from what I understand, that's the one that gives people downloads. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Zach Bush, but he talks about how he got kind of like, and this is very common with ayahuasca, people get like the whole, this is your dharma, like message of what you're supposed to be doing in your life type thing. So I had wanted to do that, but my mentor is kind of been warning me, I don't think you're going to like ayahuasca, Amy, because it's big on purging, as in throwing up your guts, and like really can be brutal. Because I'll just say, and I know I'm jumping ahead, but in my experience with plant medicine, Daniel, so far has not been good. Okay. I am like waiting to have like this beautiful experience that I hear so many people have. Although I will say, one time, it was kind of my first time, it was with mushrooms. We did 6 grams too. And, which is no low dose. 'Cause, I want to be brave, and I want to heal, and I want to self-actualize, and I really do. And I had a lot of fear going into it, of course, and it was rough. And not to get off on that, we can circle back on that if you want, but I'll just say that there was one point in that actually was nice, and it was actually toward the end. The whole first few hours was hell. And then toward the end, all of a sudden, I did get this beautiful, I just remember I couldn't move. I literally was like paralyzed. I couldn't move my body. And I got this big, it's so hard to explain. My experience with plant medicines is they give you a perspective of life that you could never get in any other modality or experience in the physical 3D world that we know. It just gives you will never be the same no matter what happens, good or bad. And in this one, I had this feeling come over me toward the end. I felt like I was in a pool of green, an ocean of green, the color green. So it was the love vibration, and green was emitting from my body. And I thought about all my loved ones and how deeply I loved them. And then I also started laughing because I was like, this is all like a joke. Like all the things that I worry about in life and the stupid stuff, like, I don't know, whatever. The air conditioner's broken or whatever it is. My computer doesn't work, or whatever it is, right? It's a joke. Like this is not, you can't take stuff so seriously. It was just like a beautiful, so all the like 4 hours prior where I was like throwing up and wanting to throw up and couldn't move and I was so uncomfortable and the whole deal, it was all worth it for that end experience where I had this beautiful, I don't know even what you say. It's like, it was just like unlike anything else I ever experienced. And then I was like forever changed. And I already believed in Great Spirit. I've been very spiritual my whole life, but it was like, oh wow, like this is what they're talking about unconditional love, is that feeling in your body that you cannot replicate, I don't think, while we're in 3D. It's otherworldly.
Yeah, like that's the thing about plant medicines, is they do connect you to another realm of information, another dimension, which can be very difficult to describe. Like you can't really describe these experiences, but you feel it, you experience it. And I just wanted to touch on something that you said before about having uncomfortable or dark experiences with it.
Yeah.
In my own perception, I don't think there is a bad experience with plant medicines, because even the hard, difficult, dark experiences is really just dredging up stuff from your own subconscious and things that need to be dealt with, faced. So often the harder or the most difficult experiences with plant medicines are actually the most healing experiences. Like everyone wants to just go straight into the beautiful, divine, love and consciousness, connection with everything, singularity. But it takes time to get to those deeper layers of plant medicines, and a lot of people overlook the processing and the hard work that goes into it. Just being like, it really just flushes up everything that you don't want to face about yourself, because you can't escape yourself when you're on plant medicines.
You cannot turn it off. It's like once that faucet starts, and I've heard horror stories with my mentor and people I know that carry medicine, and they say that sometimes people just absolutely lose their shit, and they're like screaming and running around, make it stop, and it's like there's nothing you do. Once you're in it, you're in it.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to just surrender to the experience. And I often see people here with ayahuasca freak out. Like,
it's not what they think.
It doesn't happen all the time, because often people are here for a reason to do the hard work.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to emphasize the absolute key, because like as you mentioned, it's unfortunately very vogue right now, and people running down to Costa Rica and but it can be a disaster. It's also triggering a lot of neurosis. It's not for everybody. There's a lot of sexual predators going on. I mean, you're in an extremely vulnerable state. You could be running off to some camp. You're in the middle of the jungle. I mean, it's not a joke. So setting is critical, and make sure, do your homework and make sure the person who's carrying the medicine and who sits with you is a reputable, experienced, legit wisdom medicine carrier. That I would say is numero uno, because I never would have done it if it wasn't for the person that I trusted with my life with.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are a lot of predators out there, and there's a lot of dark shamans as well who use not for good reasons, not for benevolence. So like anyone seeking the medicine should absolutely do their research and really get to know a place. Make sure that it's trustworthy, make sure that the shamans have a reputation, at least in their communities, from other people who do ceremonies with them. I'd say don't be gung-ho with it as well. Like, make sure you're ready for it, and you're it's not an easy path. It's not something you just want to jump into, and because it does just completely, you lose yourself, you lose every aspect of your reality, and the shaman does have a lot of power there.
Yes. Yeah, I remember I literally couldn't move my body. I mean, somebody could have done anything. I literally couldn't. And this was just one of the experiences that I was literally paralyzed. Another one, I had a past life regression, came out of freaking nowhere. It was like hell. Yeah, so you don't know what's going to happen. But I think to that point that with the set and setting and the proper guidance, what was always been taught to me is the absolute critical importance of setting the intention for the ceremony. And it's a ceremony. It is a sacred ceremony with these sacred medicinal tools from Mother Earth to help us self-actualize and heal wounds and get rid of stuff that's not true inside our brains and our bodies. And the importance of your intention, actually we do processes where we would write them out and make sure and go back to them in our mind when we're having a bad experience or if something's going dark. You know, I just remember telling myself what my journey intentions were to help keep me breathing, keep me grounded, keep me from actually losing my mind. No, my mind was gone at that point, but say losing my shit because I had to come back to that. So I had the proper container, I had the proper guidance, and without that, I would not have been okay. I don't want to scare people. It's probably scaring the hell out of everybody. But all we're saying is just make sure the person that's guiding you, like someone obviously like Daniel, who's extremely experienced, is legit, is the real deal, because they're just not a joke. But they also have tremendous healing capabilities, hence your depression. They have had a lot of success helping people cure PTSD, addictions. I know like a lot of the veterans use them, and within one session of sitting with plant medicine, they're like no more problems or whatever. It's just tremendous tools.
The place that I work, we do retreats. So it's essentially 2 weeks. People take the medicine, well, San Pedro twice, ayahuasca twice, and the Temazcal, which is a sweat lodge with both of them. And you see the transformations from everyone. Like you have a lot of people with some pretty heavy problems and dysfunction here. A lot of people are on the end of the road. They're like, if this doesn't work, I'm done.
Wow.
And the success rate is phenomenal. Like, you very rarely see people leave being like, I didn't really get what I wanted out of the experience.
Really?
Yeah.
So can you be a little specific just for us to kind of get a context of a practical, like, can you give us an example of like the transformation, like this one person came in and this was the situation, and then by the time they left, this was the situation?
Okay, so there's many different people, so it's hard to pinpoint one particular person, but you often have people who were in the army, suffer from PTSD. So like we have people here right now actually who were in the army and last retreat as well, like special forces. So they've seen some shit, they've done some things that they're not proud of, and you can tell that they carry that around. So you see it in the mannerism and the body language. Like I don't think any of them are bad people at all. You can tell that they're on that path of like trying to heal themselves, but you can tell that there's a lot of pain that they're storing. The medicines flush up a lot of this stuff and helps them release past experiences, and you see it in the body, you see it in the smile, you see it in the face. And they always just say, oh, like I've had the most amazing experience, I'm going to tell all my friends. You can just tell that they change people. You have people who have lost their kids in horrible car accidents. You have people who have been raped. You have people who have been about to commit suicide. You have people in all sorts of situations and the worst sort of dysfunction. And I'm not saying everyone, like many people are just doing it to explore like themselves as well on their spiritual journey. But you do have a lot of people who are here to heal these deep-rooted problems, because ayahuasca is often the last resort for people.
Yeah.
They'll try therapy, they'll go to psychologists, they'll try other modalities that are more in reach. And for a lot of people, doing something this extreme is the last resort for them. So they're like, if this doesn't work, like this, that's it, I'm done. But yeah, just seeing people come in and you see the things, and like the shaman see it as well. They can see the energies in them.
Yep.
They do cleansings, and but like this morning we had a Cambo ceremony actually. I didn't participate because of this, but just from what I heard from other people, they're like, oh, as soon as we took it, like Shaman was just telling things about them like that were absolutely spot on, so accurate. And you can't,
so cool.
That's way past coincidences. You can't do that with 10 different people and say like something very, very, very just spot on about their life experience. Like, oh, you're storing this particular emotion from something that happened at this point in your life. And and yeah, they're just so accurate with what they're saying, and people are like, oh wow, like there's no way he could have known that. Like, is someone telling him about all our problems and stuff? And it's like, no, like he's reading this, he's seen it, like he's been on this path for many, many, many years. He knows what he's doing. But yeah, it's not a walk in the park. So part of the healing process is really to flush out everything that you don't want to experience, and that is part of the purging process. So the purge is an energetic release where you're getting rid of pretty much things on every level of your body. So your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, your spiritual body, and you're releasing energies and things that don't serve you anymore. So purging is actually good. And of course, like it's not that fun when it's happening. I don't mind it anymore. Like I do it so often that I'm just like, okay, let's just get it over and done with. But pretty much everyone feels great afterwards, and after the ceremony there's just the energy changes.
Yep.
The next day there's a buzz in the air, and it's sort of contagious. Everyone's just laughing and chatting, and you can tell that's just cleaned people out entirely. And sometimes it does take quite a few sessions to really like get to the roots of the problem. Ayahuasca, it's spiritual healing, so you are connecting to these spirits and these entities, and of course we always do prayers to the Great Spirit and things before we take the medicine. Like, these ceremonies go for a long time, and they are quite ancient traditions that we follow. With it's not diluted down or watered down. We still follow the traditions 100%. And yeah, once you start going through these experiences and you start seeing these spirits and they're in front of you and reaching into your chest and grabbing out all sorts of things, and you have other things flying around and other people are seeing the same spirits. It's a madhouse, but it's a beautiful experience. And yeah, it's definitely a fast track to healing. But touching on what you said before, like, you do want to make sure you're doing the right thing, because going to the right places, finding reputable shamans, because along my own journey, I have met people who've been destroyed by medicine as well.
Me too.
Yeah, the shamans weren't proper facilitators, and they caused psychosis in them, or it created some really deep dysfunction in them, and negative energies, and there's all sorts of spiritual attachments and things that can happen if the ceremony space isn't well protected, and they're not doing it properly, and they're not doing their gratitude prayers and different things. Like, it's a big deal. Like, we are dabbling with a different dimension of experience.
Yes.
It's not just
tremendous amount of reverence, respect, tradition, ceremony, the whole deal, and experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say, Daniel, is the top, say, like 2-3 things that you've learned now from plant medicines with your almost 10 years of experience?
Yeah. It's a difficult question, actually.
The most significant things, like from before them, like the BPM, before plant medicine, Daniel, and the now. Like, what's the difference? Like, what are the main things that you've learned?
Yeah, so the before plant medicine, Daniel was an entirely different person in every aspect. So I guess one of the most important things I learned about it is that, like, these are very powerful spiritual tools that, and especially as you go deeper and peel off layers of the onion, so to speak, and go deeper into your own consciousness, you do start experiencing different spirits that are very real. And there's all types of spirits. There's positive spirits, there's negative spirits, there's many like neutral spirits as well. And I've learned to just take it much more seriously than back in the day, just any plant medicine in general. Like, ayahuasca is one of a kind, but all plant medicines sort of have a similar ability to connect us with a deeper root of our consciousness. So one of the most profound things I've learned from that is that, like, you are communicating with things of a different dimension, and they can just beam in information into your consciousness and have these profound realizations and epiphanies. One thing I'd say as well is you don't always get what you're looking for, you get what you need.
That's right. I'm testament to that for sure.
Yeah.
Be careful what you ask for. I'll just interject that in a couple of my ceremonies, my journey intention was to heal what was holding me back. Oh boy. And here I was thinking, it's gonna be what, I think that was one of the ones I had, the past life regression. So you careful what you ask for. But anyway, go ahead, please continue.
Yeah, absolutely. So often you have people saying, just say you have someone who's having difficulties with relationships and finding the person that they want to be with, and they'll say, what do I need to do differently? Then instead of sort of giving them the answer to that, the medicine will show them why they actually want someone so much and where this need or this desire for someone else is coming from. And it shows them how to heal themselves first.
Oh, cool.
Of course, when we're completely healed, that's when we start attracting more people who are on the same wavelength as we are, like matches, and it's sort of everything starts clicking together. And it's sort of like these are the realizations that you get through the medicine. It's not what you would expect, but it's something in a deeper root cause. So sort of plant medicines address the roots. They don't address exactly what you'd think. And like something that I think is very important is that there is some sort of learning curve with these medicines as well. So you can't expect to just go into the deepest levels of consciousness from like one experience. You learn to do breath work and meditate and stillness just to actually be present with the experience and to surrender to the experience. And by this can be difficult, especially if you don't have much experience with plant medicines. It's like some things might scare the crap out of you. Okay, like you think it'll be all fun and games until you're actually in it and your body's falling apart and you're experiencing all these crazy things and you think you're dying. But it takes time to cultivate that trust. And look, if you're in a safe place, go with it. Just allow whatever's happening to happen. These are benevolent spirits. They want to help us. They want to heal us. Well, okay, they don't want to heal us. They want to help us heal ourselves. But yeah, it's part of that is just having that trust. And of course, tying back into what we were saying before about making sure you're in a safe place and you wish safe shamans, because like you want to make sure you're in a good place to have that trust as well. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to let go of yourself. So sort of like this combination, you need to be in a good place to have that trust. And that trust allows you to surrender and go deeper into the experience and really learn more profound things about the nature of our reality and our universe and our souls and sort of what's inside there.
100%. So well said. And you know, obviously the name of the show is Awakening Aphrodite, because it's about helping those of us who've lived majority of our lives in the masculine energy of ourselves. And everything you just described is the feminine essence experience within us, us allowing it, which everything you just said, trust, allowing, safety, surrender. I mean, those are all the feminine qualities within us. And that's probably why I always had such a hard time with plant medicine, because all that didn't come naturally. I was always kind of protecting myself and holding it, and I don't like it that way, I want to make it this way, and I don't like this, or but so it was such a profound experience. And I think that's why my mentor, let's just say I don't want to say he recommended I do them, but he knew that, because I'd done talk therapy and all these different modalities, hypnotherapy, and nothing was really getting to the heart of what my real, trauma issues were. And so he gently suggested, this might help you a lot, because there's nothing that's going to fast track it like plant medicine, period. I mean, it just isn't. So, I love what you're saying. This is so important. You mentioned about the importance of being able to kind of like hold the space within our own psyche to entertain these higher dimensions. And I know this is true because from what I understand, my own experiences, as well as people that are much more advanced in all this than I am, a lot of these entities, the time, space, dimension, the speed in which they move, literally and figuratively, it's just like unfathomable to us. They don't work in the 3D. So it's like split second stuff. Like if you can't hold your monkey mind attention long enough, they're out. Because it's almost like you're the annoying 3-year-old kid at a playground of high schoolers. You know what I mean? They don't want to deal with you because it's like, get this kid out of here. He's ruining the party.
That's exactly right. Like I've had quite a few experiences where I've just popped in and seen spirits and things, and they're sort of just like, this again.
Yeah, right. Here comes the novice. Get this green-eyed kid out of here. Yeah.
Like, okay, let's just give him a cleansing and get him out.
Oh God, that's funny.
There's so many different like types of spirits that it's always a different story, sort of what you're connected to. Like in my experiences, it's overwhelmingly positive. I very rarely see something dark, and if I see it, especially like if I'm astral projecting and doing different things and encounter something dark and bump into it, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm out of here. No, not gonna stay around to see what this is about. They, as you said, they don't live in the third dimension. They live, who knows where they live, but
Right.
they don't have time, they don't have
Not
matter,
here.
they don't have space. So this is a realm that's very difficult for us to comprehend because we're so used to these constructs, these rules of our reality. It's like, okay, we need space because how does matter work like without space? How do we move? How do we actually function and do things? We need it. It's sort of hard to even conceptualize a place without space or time or matter. But it's like when you pop into these realms, it's just everything's instantaneous and
Yep.
it's to the point you don't even know how to comprehend it. And that's why so many people are like, well, I went in and time seemed to stop. It's like, yeah, that's because you're reaching into this other dimension of experience and there is no time here. Time is something of our reality, of our physical dimension. So when we exit our physical dimension, all these rules of physics break down and we don't have that grounding. Our soul nature sort of kicks in a way as well, and it knows what it's doing. So trusting your soul is a big part of it. Like I've been learning to astral project and I've done it successfully a few times. It's something that our own sort of human awareness could never comprehend. It's like, okay, when we're actually going out into this realm of experience, your soul nature kicks in and it's completely intuitive. It's sort of just takes over and autopilots everything, the experience, but you do have some sort of conscious control if you're still connected to your body. Sometimes you're not, because the tether's broken and you're completely gone. You don't know that your human or reality exists anymore. But sometimes you're still conscious in your physical body to some degree and have some sort of control over the experience. But yeah, it's a big part of it is just trusting that sort of our souls are much more advanced than our bodies are. What we're experiencing is just a tiny figment of our soul.
What would be some of your experience you've had with people who are having a horrible experience, Daniel? How do you kind of talk them off the ledge? Like, you must have some tactics to, I don't want to say calm them down, but just ground them. And like my guy says, wiggle your toes and move your nose. If you can breathe, you're still here. He's just like a couple little things he says go to. You can splash water on your face a little bit. Like, do you have things to kind of help people when they're really kind of losing their stuff?
Yeah, I do. Another great question. So, first, if possible, I try not to interact with guests because they're very much in their own experience, but sometimes they're completely freaking out and I have to come in and sort of help them in. So a big part of it is physical touch is grounding. So just like holding onto their hand, often they just grab your hand and start squeezing it. That's like, that's helping them.
Like I'm still here. Okay, I'm still here.
Exactly. Yeah, still sort of connected. Big part is breathing. So just focus on your breath. Focus on your
breathing.
Breathing. Because a lot of people, the reason why people tend to freak out during these experiences is because they're resisting it.
Yes.
It's often people that don't have much experience that are the people that are freaking out and going into panic mode and like, oh crap. But yeah, so pretty much I'm just trying to give them a gentle reminder, hey, surrender to it. It's okay. You're completely safe. Just like hold to my hand if you need to. Keep breathing. I'll be here with you. Just giving them that support. Just showing them that, hey, like you're being looked after, you're being cared, your physical body's okay, everything.
You're okay. Yeah.
Sometimes I take guests outside the ceremony space. So there's a lot of things happening in the ceremony space. There's a lot of noise. The shamans are seen in the karos. It's just energy can get super dense because of lots of spirits, people purging, someone laughing, someone crying, someone screaming. Like it becomes a madhouse. So sometimes it's good just to get them out of there and give them a bit of space and sit with them for a while until they sort of calm down and come back to their senses, until they're ready to actually go back into the ceremony space and be in that sort of environment again. But part of it is just reminding them that it's temporary. So they're very disconnected and they're like, they don't know the names, they don't know what's happening, so it's hard to tell them that it's going to end when they don't even know that.
I think you just said it perfectly, because I'm just envisioning, like, if you were saying that to me, that's what I'd want to hear. I mean, it's almost like you're the little kid and you're afraid, something that's going on the roller coaster or whatever, and your parent is like, I got you. Like, if you look to your parent and your parent's freaking out, then you're going to really freak out. You know what I mean? Or if you're like, on a sailboat and the captain starts panicking, like, then you're going to lose you know what I mean? You look to the leader and they're calm, like for you to be like, you're okay. This is normal. You're here, you're breathing. You know what I mean? Like that immediately for me would just calm me right down. As long as I know like, okay, this is normal. Like the fact that my brain is exploding and I feel like I'm dying, like that's okay, Daniel? Are you sure? You know what I mean? Like that would calm me down right there.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. A big part of it is just holding space.
Yes.
Holding that energy, which is super important because, as you said it yourself, if they see you panicking, so they're going, oh, what's happening? And you're like, oh, what's happening? I'm scared as well.
Because they're looking to you as the anchor. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So just being that anchor and just holding the space and
yeah.
energy, no matter what they're going through. Because people look at you for reassurance and they're like, I'm going through something really intense. And if they see you sort of like panicking or freaking out, like it's not going to be good for them. They're just going to freak out more because the person that's holding space for them is freaking out. So it's very important to just hold that space. And, like, I do know that it's going to be fine. That's like, I have seen it many times before. Yeah. So.
And I like how you just said, like, it's not even saying that, it's the energy you're being. You're being calm. It's like, it makes me think about, I have 2 small puppies right now. One of my little puppies, he's got this car thing. Cars scare him. And I can just be like, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But if I'm riled up inside myself while I'm telling him it's okay, it doesn't matter what my words are. He's feeling what's going on in my body. So for you to be that calm rock for them, as you obviously are able to do, I can feel it. Even not being physically right with you, I can tell that. I think that's the best gift you can give someone. And just the obviously the extraction for the audience is, the takeaway is any situation where we want to be that for someone, you got to check yourself. Like, are you feeling it inside? Are you feeling really calm? Or are you thinking, oh God, this person's really losing their shit. I wonder if they're going to be okay. Like, that's going to kind of come through energetically and they're going to feel that. So it won't be that effective to help them out.
Yeah, definitely. And that applies to the whole group setting as well. Like when you're in a ceremony, it's important to go in just being grounded and being calm. Because sometimes, the energy can get dense and it can get intense because a lot of people go through experiences. But of course, like the shaman's a master at holding space. But when you have 20 people all going through some intense experience, it can sort of be like a domino effect. And if the other people who are helping out with the ceremony start to sort of get pulled into that energy and start sort of getting a bit panicky or nervous, then sort of things can spiral out of control pretty quickly. It's very important when you're in a ceremony to just hold that space and just, be as you said, be an anchor, be a rock, be that grounding force, because people need it. If they're going through these super intense experiences, they need some sort of anchor to reality, and that is us, that is you.
That makes me think of, I went to a breathwork workshop with some very prominent breathwork teachers out in Texas. And it was a big group. It was like in a barn. It was a beautiful setting, beautiful. And, very primal, very earthy. And a lot of people there, probably about 40 people, 50 people. And Daniel, some people are absolutely losing their minds. They were like, I don't know. They were just losing it. And we're just like, it was like a yoga type setup. Like everybody had mats lined up next to each other all over the floor. And it was hard for me because it's really hard not to get pulled into that when you're in such close proximity. The energy is so intense. Plus, you are very open. Like when again, these plant medicines, they're called mother ayahuasca for a reason. They're very feminine. And they all have their own spiritual energy, of course. It's a real living spirit. The spirit of the plant is in you. And you're in a very literally open container. It was hard for me, Daniel, would you just, any tips? And this, I guess we can just, for the audience, because none of us are on plant medicine at the moment, but just in a situation, if you're in a room with people with bad energy, or just, do you have any experience with how we can protect ourselves from getting kind of affected by the negative experiences around us, or things that you've found as tools to help prevent that?
Yeah, so there are visualization techniques that you can do, which I've tried a bit. I find them to be somewhat useful. Some people swear by them. For me personally, I think it's just to really maintain that sort of centeredness. So
Yep.
different energies, different things happening. So just say someone's in a really bad mood, and just say you're triggering them and they're having a really bad time. It's easy to get sucked up into that energy.
Yep.
Instead, if you want to sort of negate that, just hold that core, hold that hold that energy that you're already in, that calmness, that peace, that love. Don't give your sense of power away to other people, because as soon as someone can trigger you or make you angry, you're giving away your sense of power. So it's important to just be centered within yourself, and no matter what's happening around you, just really holding that energy. Sometimes if you're sitting there and things are getting a little bit intense, because you're feeling these energies strongly, just bring it back to your breath and really just take some time to just focus, recenter yourself, bring it back. And if you're good at that, your energy is going to start taking over. They're going to be sucked into your energy. Often things like anger, resentment, if someone's in a really bad mood, that's a strong energetic outlet. So that's very capable of pulling other people into that energy, which you don't want to allow happen to you. So that's why it's important to be centered within yourself. So your energy is sort of the dominant one. And you want it to be a good energy. You want it to be a light energy that actually calms people down. So often I'm around people that are having a really bad time, and just sitting next to them, you don't even need to say things. If you're just within your own energy and you're just at peace, and you can have all these crazy things happening around you, it doesn't matter. People will start to calm down, and they'll start to sort of be like, oh, okay, why is this guy so calm? Maybe I should just relax, or maybe it's not a big problem because this guy isn't reacting. So I'm just going to calm down a bit, and you just have a chat with them. Depending on what state they're in, if someone's sad, it's more just holding space for them and letting them vent. Almost as like a therapist would do, just sort of holding space and letting people vent and get it out. If it's anger, just sort of holding that calmness, and eventually they'll blow out that fuse and they'll calm down. Again, just letting people express themselves, but also just holding that energy that you don't allow that to affect you. Because if you're around a lot of people with different issues and problems, and there's a lot of strong energy, you need to be good at holding your own energy and not letting things affect you. And also, sometimes it's important to know when to just remove yourself from that situation if things are really sort of out of control. And sometimes it's best to just say, you know what, I'm just going to sort of go out and do something else and meditate for a little bit so I don't get sucked into this. You don't have to be around that as well. But in general, just sort of, grounding yourself, visualizing sort of, a technique that I use is visualizing sort of roots coming down from my root chakra to the core of the earth, wrapping around it, sending up this energy, just like this heat, and creating this golden aura around me. And that sort of seems to amplify my aura or make it stronger, or my energy stronger, which if people are around sort of sucks them in, which is good because, it calms people down and people are like, oh, this is nice. This is how I want to feel.
I have to tell you, that was just the best answer ever, and so legitimately right on the money. Because what's really funny is I'm just smiling while I'm listening, because one of the ceremony leaders, and back to that example I gave of the breath work in the barn with the group, he saw I was fine, but I was not liking all these people. And this one guy was literally right next to me, absolutely freaking out. And he just came over and he whispered in my ear, and he said what you said. He said, keep your center. He said what you said. He said, stay in your center. It was his advice for me, and he's right. Keep breathing, stay in your center. And what came to me as I was listening to your beautiful answer was boundaries. This is an analogy for us keeping healthy, energetic, emotional, and physical boundaries. That this is what the message was for me and for all of us to learn. Energy is contagious, whether it's good or bad. And keeping our wise boundaries, having discretion. And I love that you added, and also knowing when it's time to just remove yourself from situation. This is not going to get better. This is not helping me. I'm being disrespected. I'm being harmed, whatever. I need to, now it's not even about boundaries anymore. I just need to self-preserve and get out of here. So great.
Yeah.
Great answer. Daniel, this has been amazing. Went totally different than I thought it would. These shows often do. Well, when we're talking about plant medicines and Mother Ayahuasca and Pachamama and all this stuff, we never know where she's going to take us. I certainly never know where they're going to take me. So, but I have just really enjoyed it. Your energy comes through very clearly. I've been doing this show for years, and I can very much feel you've got beautiful energy about you that is so I'm just going to share that with you, that's very palatable for me.
Thank you. Have a great energy as well.
Thanks, Daniel. Wow. Okay, I just want to be respectful of your time. Let's just talk about just briefly before I ask you a couple final questions. What would be some key things you want the audience to know about plant medicine? Some major takeaways, direction, guidance, warnings, messages, anything at all, some key things to kind of land that plane.
Yeah, absolutely. So plant medicines are master healers, but you want to approach them with caution as well. They're definitely not everyone's cup of tea. Let me just say there's many different routes to get to the same destination. There's many different modalities. There's many different ways that we can cultivate this connection with soul that you don't need to use plant medicines. But just say to someone who hasn't experienced plant medicine. So if you're listening to this right now and you're curious about it, I could use the help of it. It isn't a walk in the park. So the experiences can be difficult. It's not just like you're tripping out and things are all colorful and you're having a great time. They're going to pull up your demons, especially if you're by yourself.
Oh, never do it by myself. Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
No.
That's my favorite thing. In ceremonies it's different, but if I'm taking something just to explore my consciousness, it's always by myself. But
well, you're also very experienced. I mean, 10 years and you're kind of doing it as a profession is
yeah, absolutely.
It's not the typical.
Yeah. So I'm saying that, like, you do get deeper by yourself, but if you're inexperienced or you're not sure what you're going to find, it's good to have someone with you, someone that you trust. You want to make sure that you trust the person.
Yes.
But yeah, just go in with an open mind, with an open heart is super important, and don't resist the experience. Often when people go through bad trips and bad experiences with plant medicines, it's because they're resisting. There's an aspect of their consciousness that the medicine is trying to illuminate that they're not allowing it to illuminate. So that is when there becomes tension and resistance and things start spiraling out of control. And when you're on plant medicines, it amplifies everything. It amplifies your emotions. You start feeling everything much more deeply and more profoundly. Yeah. So one little thought that goes astray can really just derail the entire experience. So yeah, like in saying that, hold your center, surrender to it, just know that you're safe. Like,
you know that you're safe.
Big part of it is knowing that you're safe and making sure that you set up the environment to be safe as well. You don't want to have this on your mind if you're going through these experiences.
No.
Be somewhere that you're very comfortable with, your home, you're not going to be distracted. It's good to make sure there's nothing on your mind so you don't have tasks to do later on, you don't have work to do, you don't have something that you're meant to get back to or someone to get back to. It's best to sort of get everything out of the way so you've got a clean slate before going into these experiences. And yeah, like if you're doing it with someone, make sure they're a person you trust, because again, it amplifies everything. So if you don't really trust them, you don't know the person, things can get a little bit weird pretty quickly, and that can just, again, derail the experience and take the focus off from the internal experience, which is what you want, which is to go into your demons and your dark side and really do the integration work and flush out all these things from your subconscious that you don't want to experience, but you need to experience to heal. But yeah, like to sort of sum it up, they're super powerful medicines. Like I personally resonate with them a lot. There's many people that do, but they're not for everyone. So dip your toes in first if you're going to do it and sort of get used to the headspace. I'd recommend doing it in proper traditions as well. Don't just buy some magic mushrooms off the street from some dude and
oh God,
yeah,
know what you're getting. Is that you're taking your life in your hands.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like these traditions exist for a reason, because these are super powerful healers. These plants have a consciousness that you are connected to.
A consciousness,
So yeah, like to respect the ceremonial aspect of it, respect the medicine. It's super important to respect the medicine. Yeah, just try and hold a vibration of love and gratitude and all these things, and I think it'll be a good experience.
Great advice. All right, so number one thing that plant medicines got you to stop believing.
Yeah. A big one is it just opened my mind to possibilities. Like back in the day that I was like my personality and my identity and who my life experience was consolidated in a way. It's like, oh, I was given this hand of cards in life, and
Yep.
I just need to make the most of them. But what I realized through plant medicines and connecting to these other realms of information is that no, like we can literally manifest any life experience that we want. Like you could, if you want, you could become a billionaire if you put your energy and your attention and you really work hard at manifesting that. But of course, then it's like, well, what's the point of just having money? If you want to have just like a very rich life in experiences and travel the world and spend many years just doing different things, like you can, there's ways to do everything. And with life, we're in uncharted waters. But part of it is knowing that you are a pioneer of this, you are a pioneer of your own life experience, and you can drive this car or this boat wherever you want it to go. You're not constricted to a certain destination, or you don't need to go down this certain road. You don't need to become a lawyer because your parents want you to become a lawyer or a doctor. You don't need to be this sort of person, or you don't need to be shy if you don't want to be shy. You don't need to carry these problems with you. Like your life is a construction zone, and it sort of makes you realize that reality is malleable. It's not a consolidated phenomenon. We can do whatever we want with it. And this is the power that we cultivate within of that God consciousness, so to speak, is that we do have the power to recreate our life experience and recreate ourselves to whoever we want to be. So if you picture someone, a role model or something, like you can be like them, you can adopt these characteristics and these traits and mannerisms if you want. Not saying that you should just copy someone else, but like you can and sort of mix and match. And you don't need to carry around these negative aspects of yourself that you don't like. But in saying that, you also want to accept those that like you want to accept things and heal them. Then you realize that they're not a problem anyway.
That's great. That kind of takes us full circle to the beginning of the show where you mentioned about you feeling very empowered. It was a wonderful gift that basically taught you that you could have any life that you want. It's your choice. All right, so that's what they taught you to stop believing. And then what did they teach you to start believing? What did you now start believing, other than the fact that you could have the life you want? There's a new concept, something that's like a new paradigm for you that you started believing as a result of it.
Yeah, well, plant medicine's really cultivated a connection to spirituality. Like before I went through some of these big experiences, I used to be an atheist.
Yeah, I heard that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I also used to be like quite depressed, and as I mentioned earlier, like I felt like I was in a cage. Just I didn't know how to get out of it. I thought I was constricted to that life that I was living. I had to be shy. I had to just have not an enjoyable life that I didn't want to have. I was stuck that way. But what it did make me start believing is that our existence is a very weird and wacky place, but it's also super beautiful. There's so much out there that we're barely just scratching the surface, especially when we get to spirituality and other dimensions and soul and karma. And there's, like what it taught me is that our experience on this planet is just a grain of sand in the ocean. It's just a tiny part of otherwise endless stream. Part of what it taught me is that we don't need to take life so seriously. Part of our purpose for being here is to just experience life and have a human experience and collect that wisdom for this God consciousness that we're all connected to, that we are all a part of the same consciousness. This is why we're here, just to experience and to collect information. You don't need to achieve a certain goal to be like, I achieved my purpose. So with that said, it's easier to actually just be at peace with your life experience, knowing that this is just a tiny figment in a much, much bigger system, and that there's a very beautiful system as well. There's so much happening out there, and there's so much to explore and cultivate. And the deeper you go into these practices, and the more that you're learning about this stuff, the more wild it gets, to the point that like you start learning how to these spirits naturally without even taking the medicine.
Okay, that was actually my final question. I was going to ask you, and let's just go there. What would you say to those that either haven't ever done it or have no real idea what we're talking about, or to those who have, like, about now living it and the whole integration thing? Because that's the key, is like, okay, how do you have it now be a part of who you are and the way you think and the way you live? Can you somehow keep yourself open to these entities being part of your life when you're not on the inner journey?
Yeah, you can, because plant medicines open up the channels, and it deepens that connection. I've said that a few times, but deepens that connection to your spiritual body. So you don't need to just, like, while you're taking plant medicines, that connection goes really deep, but of course it goes back and you return back to this three-dimensional reality. Yeah. But with practices and by sort of integrating that work that you're doing, and like even going deeper if you wanted with plant medicines, that starts to become more of a norm in a way, like not in a negative, oh, like psychotic, just tripping all the time. No, it's like I'm very grounded, but at the same time, many of these things that I'm learning are really just applying to my life and becoming part of the mesh. So just seeing energy, feeling energy from people, getting downloads sometimes, just like something will hit me, just this stream of knowledge. And I'm like, oh crap, where did that come from? And yeah, just like seeing entities as well, seeing just figures moving around, like not always, but sometimes it happens. And I feel like as I'm going deeper into this realm of information, especially what I've been working on with ayahuasca recently, is to open up my channel so I can see these things and feel, just have this deep connection naturally without needing the plant medicines. Yeah. And yeah, she's definitely working on it. Every time these spirits come down and they're working on these channels and chakras, and everything's just going into the past, the future, the present, all at the same time, and seeing all these crazy possibilities and timelines. And yeah, like it's you, as long as you're integrating that and realizing that the plant's helping you cultivate something that's already within yourself. You don't need the plant to have these abilities. You don't need the plant to be psychic, but they can help open up these channels and really sort of speed up that process. Everyone has that ability. We are spiritual beings. We all have this ability to connect with ourselves and access a whole new layer of information that in the three-dimensional state we don't have access to. But as spirits, like as souls, everyone has that ability. Plant medicines just sort of speed that up. So it's important to integrate that and realize that it is a learning curve. You're constantly learning things about it, and you're integrating these abilities and cultivating these abilities more and more and more throughout your life experience. And the more you practice it, as going to the gym, you're working on your body, you work on your spiritual body as well. You practice these modalities and these skill sets and these practices. And over time, they just become stronger, and these other senses start to become stronger. And once you start going down that route, life just gets all that more interesting and all that more fun. And it also gives us a bigger responsibility, a bigger ability to really be better healers, to be better people, to say with coaching, to be able to actually like read people's energy and things and know sort of what to do with it.
I think that's great, because what I'm hearing you say is just like anything else, is like applying it to your life is a wise thing to do. It'd be one thing to, learn from a teacher or read a book and have the knowledge, but it's about integration is the key word, is making it a part of the everyday and then taking that and then living with it to go to the next level. I mean, that would just be the definition of wisdom. You want to keep evolving. You're going forward. You're taking it with you, and then evolving that aspect of it. And I love the fact that, like you were saying, you're doing that now and trying to cultivate it. Each step along the way it's like going up a ladder of like, okay, now I'm at this level, and now I'm going to take this, and now I'm going to go to the next level. And that's awesome. Daniel, this has truly been amazing. Do you have just a final thought and just a way to feel complete to wrap it up, and a place you want to direct the audience if they want to find out more about you and where to come, maybe perhaps do some experimentation with some journeying with you and your team?
if you're listening to this, keep following that path of growth. And further you go into that, you realize even though your life experience changes drastically and incredibly, we're always still babies. We don't know anything. So part of life is just that continuous exploration and development of our own consciousness and our life experiences. But don't think there's a stage where it's finished and you're like,
Right.
I've gone to a point where I'm done, I've mastered it. It's like, no, you can't master it. We're constantly learning, and there's always more to be learned, more to be cultivated, more to be done. Yeah, in terms of if you want to connect with me or find me, you can go to my website, which is symbosity.com. So symbosity.com. I have my own podcast there. Actually, it's only a few episodes in, but it's about shamanic traditions and things like that. So if you want to give that a listen, I talk more about this sort of stuff.
And that's A Wise Man Once Said podcast, right?
Yes, correct.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's linked onto my website.
On the website, which will be in the show notes, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also I coach, so I'm doing life coaching and sort of just having heart-to-heart with people who want to speed up their spiritual development and learn different things, or maybe you feel like you're stuck in life. So if you resonate with my content and sort of who I am and want to have a one-on-one chat, like you can always do that and book a session and chat about whatever you want to chat about. So
what a beautiful gift you are to the world. I think that the work you're doing is obviously very much needed. I can tell you must be a wonderful coach because you have a very loving, centering, grounding, comforting space about you, which I think the world desperately needs right now with all the anxiety going on out there. So I do hope people do look into you, Daniel. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity. It's been it's been good chatting and getting to know you as well. I just wanted to say you're doing great work as well with what you're doing. So just keep going with your own journey, and I think you're an incredible person. So.
Thank you, Daniel. Well, like you said, the more we know we don't know, and it's just unveils the next door. It's like you just, wow, this whole other world. So like you, we're all seeking and trying to make our way and walk shoulder to shoulder together with people as we step ahead together bravely into the unknown. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show. You know what to do. If you want to support me, the best way to do so is to subscribe, share it with someone you think that might find it interesting. You can check out my website, which is my name, amyfournier.com. I also have an e-store there with all my favorite products, and we already can't wait to be with you again. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and Daniel and I will see you next time. Over and out. Bye-bye, everybody.
Would you like to support my mission to help empower people all over the world to be all of who they truly are? If so, please subscribe to the show, leave a review on iTunes, and share it with a friend. And if you're looking to take immediate action to align your energy and optimize your health, visit amyfournier.com. Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite. Let's awaken her together in you. I'm your hostess, Amy Fournier, and I already can't wait to be with you again and for you to hear what I have planned for the next show.
Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. To learn more about Amy, check out her website, amyfournier.com. That's amyfournier.com. You can also check out Amy's live and on-demand virtual fitness and yoga classes, and sign up for her newsletter to receive a free mini ebook of 3 of her top tips for making holistic health a lifestyle. Again, that's amyfournier.com, and get your ebook sent to your email immediately. Connect with Amy on the daily on Instagram at FitAmyTV, FITAMYTV, and watch many of the podcast episodes and subtopic clips on her YouTube channel, which is also FitAmyTV. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time on Awakening Aphrodite.